But as for that kind of thing, the other aspect, because here we go. I'm bringing it full circle. I'm coming back. We're
Mm-hmm.
taking the choo choo train in the living room with the Christmas stuff, and we're coming back full circle. Like, there's some of the things that I found really cool in that my uncle's den was that he had production value Stormtrooper, Boba Fett, and Darth Vader helmets. But
Oh, did
the
you?
piece de resistance for me, no, I didn't put them on. The
Oh, you should have
the
done it
piece
and sent me a
I know
picture.
I would have. I would have sent you a picture if I did. Like, I ain't holding. I ain't hiding that shit from anybody. I am definitely posting that, if not on social media, on everyone that I talk to.
Yeah, and it's like, hey, hey, did you see me wearing a Boba Fett helmet? Hey, 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 hey,
Yeah.
hey, did you see me wearing a
Um.
Stormtrooper helmet?
Side note: I got myself the one for the Book of Boba Fett as a Christmas gift to myself. I ordered it in September, and it says it's supposed to be here at the end of January, beginning of February. So we'll see. We'll see what
That
happens.
is awesome. I need to get a Scout Trooper helmet, like
Um.
straight up Scout Trooper helmet. That is
Why
from
not
huh?
why not make our own? We talked about it a couple times
Oh
off of
yeah,
recording. Before we
yeah,
even started thinking of this recording, that we would make our own either Mando or Scout. Well, you wanted to make a Scout Trooper, but I
yeah.
wanted to make a Mando helmet and be part of a Mandalorian battalion for conventions because I think it would be dope because my aesthetic is very much so black and neon hot pink that I would also implement that on said Mando armor. Um,
I need to really think about like my typical aesthetic. I'm pretty sure it's like
mhm.
red, black, red and black or blue and silver. Like are like my typical
um,
go tos.
Yeah, I was gonna say you might like for those that are part of like doing the Mandalorian stuff, like actual like factions and whatnot. They have their own rule set when it comes to um, colors.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Not saying that you can't do those colors, but I think you have to do it in a certain way that it doesn't clash. Because like obviously when you said blue and silver, that correlates to Django, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, or red and black correlates to literally any Sith Lord slash.
Mm-hmm.
I think now, because of Clone Wars, there's a faction of Mandalorians that follow under Darth Maul with red and black. So it's just like trying to not hinder yourself from using those colors, but utilizing it in a way that if you do want to join said factions
Yeah,
and
it would be
community,
complementary and it would make sense.
yeah,
Yeah. No,
yeah, yeah.
ultimately paint is paint, but like I definitely want it to be like maybe aluminum and like yeah,
Mm.
no, I want to smith my own freaking like Mandalorian armor. That'd be
You
freaking
say
awesome.
Smith, but that stuff is heavy. I will tell you, like, I did the research a few years back, and it's just like a lot of these armors that are made with there are multiple ones where it's like made with paper mache followed by resin, or made with like plastic and just molded, or
Yeah,
made
no
with by
foam.
mm,
Normally it's some sort of foam, and it's like painted over and then sanded and then painted again.
Yep, basically. And the cool thing is that for those that follow like that whole sort of lore and want to be part of that whole community, they have a website that literally gives you the step by step for all of these methods
Mm-hmm.
and like all the rules and regulations to join the community, and just basically, just like finding the people who are down to help you and give you suggestions, because on those forums any question you have, someone will answer wholeheartedly, and it's really nice.
Or
There's
have
not.
already like they'll direct you to the exact FAQ that you need to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly. There's rarely any toxicity. Most of the toxicity comes from the in real life part, not
Mm.
the internet part so
No,
much.
that's
And it's the same.
see like, but
Mhm.
that's like the internet in a nutshell. Like, it started out as like this cesspool of just disgusting like individuals like being evil to each other, but like there are actual bastions of like real places where people are actually nice to each other, and it's kind of
Mhm.
glorious. It's really weird because you have the duality of it. It's almost like the duality of light and dark. um yeah, no, it really, it's crazy that the internet is as amazing as it is. Like you can learn all of these like awesome things, but you can also like
Oh, for
be
sure.
yelled at in
For sure.
several
For sure.
different
For sure.
languages and
And
like all at the same time.
yeah. and none of them actually have to be official languages
Oh
because
yeah,
they're
no,
all
yeah, no,
like
like
they're, you know,
Jane.
Huttonese. Huttonese is an actual language.
I
So
mean, I can't tell you how many times I've been called a smooth forehead by somebody in Klingon. Like,
that goes over my head.
it's okay. Or somebody saying something in Tolkien Elvish.
Right, exactly, because that one, you know, the man created his own language, and it's very impressive
Oh,
because
yeah,
it is a
incredibly.
functional language as well.
Yeah. You know what is also a functional language? I learned this like a little while ago. Atlantean from Atlantis. It's a full language.
Like Atlantis,
My
Disney's Atlantis.
Disney's Atlantis. Atlantean is an actual language. It is a fully realized, actually speakable and writable language.
Man, that movie is so underrated.
Yeah, no,
It's
this isn't even like a hard take because that movie is spectacular on so many levels. Like
it is.
the
I mean, and
lore, the
like, to
idea,
be honest,
like
I really enjoy
sub
the
like
cast.
yeah, the cast is amazing. It's actually one of like the most diverse. Like if like diversity like really matters to you, like it's one of the most diverse castings of a movie. It's one of like the first movies to have like a particularly diverse, like both in ideology and
Hmm.
personality, like as well as ethnicity, backgrounds and stuff. It's like one of
Right.
the more diverse like movies that Disney put out, and it was done in early 2000s, which is really ahead of its time. And yet
It very much so is.
it was very ahead of its time. Like you had a mechanic who was female and of Hispanic descent, like, but that's a real thing. Like that, like this is like 1920s 19 I think is like 1928 19 like early 1930s before the invasion of no, this is actually earlier. um it might be pre World War One now that I think about it, because he talks about the Kaiser.
Uh,
Yeah, no,
I
it had to be pre World War One.
did it.
Yeah, so it the thing that makes me believe it was pre World War One is because um the Kaiser was still around. Milo says some mercenary nutcase that'll probably sell her to the Kaiser. Now,
I just fact checked. It's based in 1914.
yeah, so 1917, World War One, like right around that time, World War One might have started earlier. Huh? When did
But I will say, because of how underrated that it is, I don't think it's going to happen. But I really think that it would be a fantastic movie to make live action now.
This is one of the few times I agree about making a live action movie of anything
Right?
Disney,
Right?
because
From Disney.
from
Yeah.
Disney. Now, mind you, there's nothing in the movie that requires animation for it to be spectacular
No.
and amazing. Nothing in the movie like requires the animation. Like with the right digital budget. I mean, like people with Adobe After Effects could do some of the stuff they're done, like the shield thing or the ever glowing necklaces. It's LEDs. You can buy them right now. But like we have a diverse enough population around the world of talented actors and actresses that could do perfect justice for any of these characters. And like there are people like we could typecast. Like TikTok has already found like 90% of the people there, like without even trying. Like there's like an entire thread on TikTok about like casting this particular potential live action movie that Disney will, this is the only one I've ever said I want it to.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. Like I said, the only downside is because it's Disney, and Disney likes money, unfortunately, which is fair. I mean, you are trying to monopolize. No need to hide it. But the fact that the original movie technically was a flop,
Yeah,
it was.
I mean, so was
it
Treasure
was-
Planet.
Oh, and it's my absolute favorite Disney movie.
Yeah, no, Treasure Planet is absolutely freaking amazing. I like Treasure Planet, Atlantis, like of the non-main series, like, first of all, they're like the only ones with a male protagonist, so like that's really
What?
huge. Like, Aladdin is the like no. Let me rephrase that, because there's Aladdin, who's the protagonist.
I was gonna say you better rephrase that because I know there's gonna be a whole army
Yeah,
trying
no,
to
no,
argue
no.
with you.
Let me rehash that a little bit. So, Disney Renaissance has Hercules. It has Aladdin. I'm trying to think of the other ones where
Lion King.
Lion King, male lion though.
Simba.
Simba is male.
Male lion.
Yes, yeah, male lion. Okay, cool. So, male led, but I don't find myself leading a pride. We talked about this previously, like a while ago, and I had a bad take on it because of I fell into a Freudian trap that I accidentally set for myself. So, huge faux pas. Feelings were hurt. I need to step that back. And basically, what I need to say is, anytime I can identify with a character, it doesn't matter if they're male or female. I actually identified a lot with Merida for some reason. I don't know why. I don't speak Gaelic, and I'm not, red-haired and female and trying to earn my own
could
honor.
be.
I mean,
You could be.
I could be if I wanted
could.
to. I could be brown. I could
But
be
go
blue.
on.
Yeah. Anyone that you can identify with, like, I was the loner tech kid. I was the nerd that was like super into history. I was the street rat at some point. Like, and apparently I was also the princess to a Gaelic family at some point. I don't know. Like,
But-
anyone you can identify with, and like, it makes the story so much better. And that's why Disney does an amazing job of to the point of creating movies that are beloved by a lot of people, but that I personally wouldn't understand because it's not a lived experience I had, and would therefore create my opinions on that. Like,
Also, oh yeah. Also, you're forgetting a handful of movies that have male protagonists. You're missing Meet the Robinsons. You're missing Big Hero 6. You're missing Brother Bear. You're missing Oliver and Company. You're also missing, yeah, like I said, there are plenty of movies where there's a male protagonist, and even more so being that nerdy, quiet protagonist as well. Technically, you could also say the same thing for Ratatouille because he is an outlier.
that is true. That is true. You know what? I was thinking Disney princesses, and that's why I'm like, because all of them kind of have the underdog tilt to them. Like, I mean, mind you, Merida is a Disney princess, but like that's a little bit different because
Right.
technically Scotland didn't have, depending on who you ask, there's like a lot of contention about whether or not they had kings. Like, for some reason, I don't know why. Like, there's like a lot of like argument about that. I don't know where I lie on the argument. I haven't been able to like do as much research as I really wish I could have, because although I have heritage from there, I've never, like, I mean, I have a castle with my name on it in Wales, but like besides that, it's like, and like Wales is like part of that area, but it's not really, it's not Scotland and it's not Ireland, and it's
Yeah.
not Britain, like it's Wales. But anyway,
Yep.
like, the vast majority of Disney sales for the past little while has been basically Frozen and Moana and who's the newest? Oh, Encanto. No,
I still have yet to see that, and I plan to see it this week.
please watch it. Please watch it. It is amazing. I can't say enough good things about it. Like, especially listen to the songs, because the music in Encanto is truly brilliant in so many ways. I want to do a video essay on how brilliant the music is in this movie, but I don't
Okay.
I don't have a big enough musical background to like really give it justice. But like, I don't want to hype it up any more than it's already been hyped. I mean, like, 2 songs from the movie are number 1 and 2 on YouTube's top top music charts as of
Okay.
right now. Like they've had that many plays. So like
Okay, cool.
so
Yeah, I'll definitely.
devoid of
I
my
definitely
own
want to check
hype.
it out. Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Like gosh, I don't know. Maybe I just like glanced over the fact that they had so many.
Yeah, there's a
It
ton of
might
Disney
even
movies.
be
I mean,
even.
it. I'm a big Disney buff, so I mean, there are plenty
Yeah,
of
no,
there are definitely
I
plenty of
typically
movies.
am too, but like my brain just like glanced over all of them. I don't know why.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah. No.
It's totally okay.
Yeah.
Um.
It's okay, you know. Anyway,
Oh,
the point I was trying to say, I completely lost the train of thought. So we're just gonna say I love
Ruh-roh.
movies, and I want Atlantis to be a live action. It is the only
There you
movie
go.
that I think is the only movie that I think would be ridiculously hard for Disney to mess up as a live action.
Right, because I'm like thinking, even the story, even if you copy it scene for scene,
No,
it's going to
it would
be
be better.
yeah, it'd be
Like
better live action.
I love the idea of Milo or the guy playing Milo literally chasing after Mr. Harcourt in the streets of old New York, or I think it's old New York. The Potomac, where's that?
It,
Huh.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Let me bring it up again.
Yeah, no,
But
like literally chasing Mr. Harcourt to fund his expedition. Like all he wants to do is find this like one book. Now, if you go by a different Disney owned property, that would be amazing. Technically, there's another person who is also an anthropologist. Well, technically he's cartography and linguistics, but he's basically an anthropologist. Indiana Jones is not dissimilar from Milo Thatch in
no,
actuality, except
right,
except Milo doesn't want to steal anything. He wants to live with the culture that he finds, because why wouldn't you want to live essentially forever?
well,
Especially if the people, huh?
was that the draw? Was that the draw of the Atlantis movie? Was that You Would Live Forever, or was that through discovery that he
No,
found
through
out
through
after the
discovery.
fact?
No, like he 100% just wanted to learn about this advanced civilization, quote unquote. Well, they were more advanced than us because they can heal without like actual medicine, and they can fly through the air without the use of engines. Like they were completely self-sustaining and they were so self-sustaining that they lived for thousands of years, somewhere in the neighborhood of like 8,000 years under the surface, without any issues, without needing outside resources, without anything like that. So like this is a find of like the millennium, or several millenniums actually, because you know millennium is 1,000 years. So
Right.
like not only that, I've always like loved the idea of a lost civilization outside of like, even before I knew Atlantis existed, I knew that Doggerland was a thing, which is like an actual society that existed between England and France, that like sunk beneath the ocean. Like if you ever have like a afternoon and you're like really bored, look up Doggerland. It's actually like really cool. Yeah. Anyway, so far as like lost civilizations and lost societies, like we know so little about human history, and we know there's so much more to find out. Like to the point where human civilization that we know of basically has been around for somewhere in the neighborhood of like maybe close to like 6,000-7,000 years. If I'm like thinking the earliest writings are Sanskrit and whatnot, and that's like give or takes of like 5,000-6,000 BC. But we
Could be
have but we have structures that are 12 to 13,000 years old, which would put them right around the end of the Ice Age, and they are fully developed cities, or the leavings of like advanced civilizations, and they're all over the world. Now, if like the like our knowledge of the way humans adapted, I don't want to say evolved because it's not like we went from Bulbasaur to like, you know, Ivysaur and then Venusaur. We didn't evolve. We adapted. As we adapted to our environment, like we went through several different stone ages, if like we're to be believed. And at one point, we completely forgot what plumbing was, and that was just in our own recorded history. Like it's amazing, like the amount of technology that we have lost and subsequently rediscovered, and that's just in just in like the civilizations that we know exist today. Like there's so much more for us to learn, and that's why I think the lost city of Atlantis is such a huge draw, because Atlantis, as Plato pontificated about, was an advanced civilization that would have existed right at the tail end of the Elder Dryas, or the Ice Age, essentially. So it's really, really intriguing.
Agreed. Very much so agreed. But, you know, to imagine something that... I'll redirect it to another, basically, quote-unquote, lost city. Like, something like Wakanda, right? So I'll bring it to another quote-unquote lost city.
Yeah. Another Disney lost city. Well, purposefully secretive.
Not really lost, but secretive.
Yeah, purposefully secretive.
But do you think something like that exists currently?
An advanced civilization that's using technology that we can't possibly fathom that exists on our Earth?
I wouldn't say fathom, but that is being utilized, that is not being shared.
Oh yeah, just the U.S. military alone has technology that's about 10 years more advanced than we currently have access to. They have like deep science research. I doubt that the Russians don't have their own form of like, I don't know if you remember the Sci-Fi Channel series Eureka.
Yeah, it's currently on Amazon Prime, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. I loved Eureka. Not only that, I loved the Maytag guy. Well, he wasn't Maytag guy before then, but like, yeah, he's now the Maytag guy. Anyway, looks a lot like Mike Rowe, but he's not Mike Rowe. Anyway,
right.
Yeah, I can't remember the actor's name, but I like his like practical approach to like everything. He's like the idiot inside of like the Town of Geniuses. If you don't know the series Eureka, definitely check it out. It is worth every second of watching. But I seriously doubt that something like that doesn't exist. And the thing that prevents me from thinking that it does is the ubiquity of camera phones.
What do you mean?
Let me... I'm trying to draw on some information. The reason why we've essentially went from people dying all the time in the late 90s, early 2000s to basically the police being able to be on site, the ambulance being able to be on site, was the proliferation of cheap, easy to access cell phones. The speed of technology is so fast that we can get people that we've never seen in person to get to us fast enough that they can save lives. Now, part of that is also the camera phone. So, camera phone, or the camera on your phone, being so readily available, has led to the discovery of tons of things, like people who are taking Snapchats in like Greece caught like that one bomber accidentally and they didn't even know it, or like just by having more cameras around, we have so much more information available to us that happened previously because cameras are objective viewers. You can just go through the footage as long as it hasn't been edited and it's raw. You can just go through and see what has happened previously. The thing that prevents me from thinking that we have a hyper advanced civilization, or advanced enough that the average person would not be able to understand what's going on or to just doubt its existence. It really doesn't take all that much. All it would take is for them to not use electricity the way that we do, and it would be more than enough for us to be like, it's magic.
Okay.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
yeah. Now,
makes sense to me.
the wonderful thing about Wakanda is they happen to live in an environment that is. I don't think they're far enough south where they get snow. I also don't think they're far enough north where they seem to be in almost tropical climate. In somewhere in Africa, right? They're in a Goldilocks zone, as it were.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
perfect place, perfect location.
yeah, perfect location, and they have access to a resource that is virtually unlimited usability. Like, there's any number of it. And then with, like, advancements that they've made themselves and they've discovered, and, like, for all we know, Wakanda could exist if they have the advancements that we believe they have. They've been depicted having. Like, it wouldn't be hard for them to hide from our drones, our satellites, our everything. It really wouldn't be hard. The thing that would be hard is to keep it secret with people, because the people are the weak link there. It has nothing, like, their technology is not the weak link. It's the people with the technology that's the weak link. Because, you don't imagine that there isn't internet in Wakanda, right? They definitely have internet. And they definitely have access to all the rest of the world's internet. All it would take is one Wakandan kid with a phone to be like, hey, I'm here.
Right. But in the terms of Wakanda itself, it's like, I'm sure that, because to an extent, Wakanda is a utopia, right? So taking that aspect into it, that it is ingrained and it is known that the importance of not blatantly sharing something like that out in the world, you know what I mean? But
I mean, yes, it's ingrained,
given
but,
a
like,
certain scenario.
all it would
Given
take is
the
one
certain
mad
scenario.
teenager.
Right? No, you're right. I'm not dismissing that that's not a hypothetical, but it's just, giving the other hypothetical that it is immensely ingrained. And the thing is like, if you want to take that lore into account, then express what happened in the movie, right? Hold on, T'Challa, his dad is
T'Chaka.
So T'Chaka and his brother, right? His brother left Wakanda to live a life out in the people. And same thing goes, right? Like, fortunately, he was selling basically Wakandan stuff out, rather. So, like, it was known, but they still kept it hush hush.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
no, they were able to keep the secret to a select few people for quite a while, like a very long time, if the Wakandan origin story is to be believed, and there's nothing to suggest otherwise. So long as that's true, they kept it secret for thousands of years, at the very least.
Right.
But that also means that they progressed in technology ridiculously slowly.
Yeah.
But that tends to be the case with a lot of tribal-based societies. They are slow to adapt technology. Now, they've had thousands of years with the ability to have far more advanced technology, and yet their warriors still use spears. So, now, don't get me wrong, that's still that they're spears that can, like, eviscerate people. Don't get me wrong, like, that is really, 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 really cool. But their culture and everything, in keeping with that culture, they've stunted themselves from being a world power.
Right.
But
Right.
obviously,
But
now
that
was by choice. It was bridled power. They didn't intend to become the dominant power in the world, despite the fact that they had access to one of the greatest resources in the world. And it's really interesting that at no point in the history of Wakanda did they not have a imperialist notion until the I believe that was civil rights era. Like, and it was the 80s, wasn't it? 70s, 80s.
Say that one more time.
When did T'Chaka go to his brother? That was like
I'm assuming late 90s, early 90s, late
80s,
80s,
early
early
90s.
90s.
That sounds about right. That sounds, yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah. The huh. It I just think if you have that much power, and we know Spider-Man taught us that great power comes great responsibility, but power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. These things are known, and you can't culture it away.
Right.
Like, I seriously doubt, like history has shown us that anytime you have a significantly advanced society, it wipes out any previous society before it and either ingrains it or destroys it. So the best way to kind of show that is what happened to Hawaii. We've talked about this before. Basically, they went from Stone Age plus technology to being able to hurl hunks of lead at each other at almost the speed of sound. Like, all in the matter of seconds, essentially.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Like, it would take a lot for a significantly advanced society to choose not to expand, to take over.
Right.
But all of their needs are being taken care of. They have everything they could ever want. They have everything they could ever need. And if they need to make more of it, they can just make more of it.
Do it. Right.
Like, so
That's why it's a big. That's why it brings up a good conversation, right? Because it's like, Wakanda in that aspect before T'Challa released the information that, oh no, we're not a poor country, we're technologically so advanced, that it came down to their culture, right? And the fact that they abided by the leadership of whoever was ruling Wakanda. And you take the aspect of the fact that in order for them to have power, that they have the option to, right? Like, whenever there's a new king, any of the other tribes of Wakanda has the opportunity to fight for that right to rule the entire nation. And it's just like, that's also part of the culture, because obviously it's not through democracy.
No, it's literally
through trial.
Yeah, it's literally
Through
might
trial.
makes right.
Yeah. And it gives that aspect of like,
which also is like interesting, because there's that aspect within the culture, but why would that not lend itself to imperialism? So once again, I'm caught in a weird conundrum of, if a hypothetical hyper advanced society exists, why do they not already control all of society? Or are they so advanced and they do control all of society? How come I haven't noticed yet?
And you're also forgetting the third option, that because of this high society, that it comes down to humanitarianism, right? The fact that
So in Wakanda, they essentially have no disease.
Right.
They essentially have no hunger.
Right.
Their people are fed. Everyone is happy because they have everything they could ever want or need, including advanced medicine that can save people from literal paralysis.
Right.
Like, okay, what's humanitarian about not sharing that technology?
The adverse effects of what it causes from it, which is the main concern of why T'Chaka was very hesitant to
Yeah,
allow
no,
that
the
to
quote
be
unquote
there.
the rest of the world wasn't ready for the technology.
Right.
Because they didn't subscribe to the beliefs of the Wakandans that
Right. That
you
the humanitarianism of other countries is not in the right place of power.
see. The problem I have with that is the rest of the starving people in the world don't care about your humanitarianism, or how
Right.
just it is that you're saving them from the possibility of great war. The hungry don't care about, the homeless don't care about that, and the sick don't care about that.
Fair.
Like
But
it's really easy to play the heady game of we're going to save them from themselves by not giving them this. We did the same thing with nuclear arms. Don't get me wrong. America did a lot of this, like back in our imperialist days. Like Teddy Roosevelt was probably the most imperialist president we've ever had. Like he did a lot of really, really bad, but he also did a lot of really, really great things, including the completion of the Panama Canal and basically securing global trade routes. On top of, starting the national park system, which means that we do have national parks which are not being turned into strip mines. Which is,
but it is also currently also failing at the same time.
yeah, it's nothing's perfect, but we're doing our best essentially.
I'll
So
put that in air quotes.
the best that we can with how divided we are as a country.
But to answer your question is the fact that the intelligence in order to compensate for that does not outweigh the need. Because like you said, like the way that it was done in the Marvel Cinematic Universe was that T'Challa was like, I think we're ready.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're ready for this.
Mm-hmm. And then
And
all of the universe got snapped in half. So
right. And then there was a global need for just togetherness, community. There was a global sense of community
Mhm.
because of it. And that's probably one of the biggest problems for this world now is that there is no global sense of community, which is why if there is some sort of high society,
they
it's
wouldn't
not
want to
going to
be
be
part of
shown.
it. Yeah, no, it wouldn't
No.
it wouldn't be shared. But the problem with a global sense of community is we need to have shared values. Now, as of right now, the largest superpowers in the world are China, which is communist, America, which is liberal capitalist. Is in general, we're trying to be as free as we can be in both social and economics situations.
Yeah, there's still a division.
There's still a division,
within-
but that based on what the founding fathers believed in, liberalism and capitalism, both of those hand in hand in order to create a free and fair market and a pursuit of happiness, it does land squarely on your shoulders what you make of the world. Or at least that's what we believe. So we've got the most authoritarian government in the world, and we've got a very authoritarian but trying to be free government on the other side, or on our side, essentially, in America. And those two things butt heads all the time. Because communism can exist in capitalism. It's called voluntarism. You can choose to be part of it. Capitalism doesn't exist in communism because you can't not be forced to do that which they say you need to do. And that's where we really bump heads on whether or not it really comes down to whether or not we believe the needs of the many outweigh the rights of the one. Like in America, we believe in individual rights. In China, they literally knock through people's houses to put railways in, like directly through. Like they're like railroads through people's houses.
Yeah.
Like because in China they don't technically own anything. They rent it from the government for a period of time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's really interesting the different styles of governance that we lend ourselves to. But that's I think the biggest divider of the world is individualism versus I don't want to say globalism because that's not technically correct. I think abnegation is probably the better idea. Like, can you force a population to be selfless enough to live with less so that everyone can have some?
Okay.
Because no matter how hard they try, with a population of 2 billion people, China's not creating enough for their people to thrive.
No, not at all.
Like, not even close. Like, there's a reason why America is the only quote-unquote first world country. It's, despite everything, our problem isn't the fact that we... yes, there are people who are very hungry in America, but technically speaking, according to the world metrics, no one is actually starving. We actually have the opposite problem. We are so wealthy that we have an obesity problem.
Right.
Like, and when I say no one is really starving, yes, there are some very, very hungry people out there. But, like, we, in general, do not have people dying from malnourishment. We actually have more people dying from exposure. So, we do have our problems. There are definitely problems that I don't have the answers to. And I think that is ultimately where I need to humble myself and say it's for somebody smarter than I to resolve.